Welcome. This is News Plus on Viewer Television. I'm Abdullahi Aliyu. The Nigerian military troops on the front line have killed no fewer than 50 terrorists, arresting 122 others in the last 1 week. Defense Media Operation DMO spokesman Major General Edward Buba, who made the disclosure, noted that the military continues to target the leadership and chain of command of the terrorists, insurgents, and extremists, undermining the security of citizens in the country. According to General Buba, the ongoing counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism operations are making the country safer each passing day, that these evil forces are decimated. The armed forces are on course with its operation, which are yielding encouraging results. Troop also arrested 49 perpetrators of oil theft and rescued 182 kidnapped hostages. In the SS, troops denied oil theft of the estimated sum of 128,066,825 naira. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja on Friday affirmed the judgment of the Kano Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which sacked Abba Yusuf from his position as the governor of the state. A three-man member panel of the appeal court in its judgment ruled that the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, breached the constitution by endorsing Yusuf, who was not a member of the party as its gubernatorial candidate in Kano. Recall that Yusuf in September rejected the judgment of the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which removed him as Kano State Governor and pronounced the All Progressive Congress APC candidate Nadir Gawuna as the winner of the 18th March election. He said as a result of this, he would seek justice at the Court of Appeal. The tribunal removed Yusuf as governor after deducting 165,663 votes from the total votes he scored during the election. The three-member panel of judges led by Oluyemi Asadebe had ruled that the ballots containing the votes were not certified by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Godwin Emefiele, the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has been remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center by the Federal Capital Territory High Court. He was arraigned before the court on a 6-count charge bordering on procurement fraud worth 1.2 billion, to which he pleaded not guilty. He applied for bail from the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and his request was noted. The court has adjourned his hearing to November 22nd while ordering his remand with the Nigerian Correctional Service. Emefiele's suspension by President Bola Tinubu led to the State Security Service charging him with illegal possession of firearms before the Lagos State High Court. However, the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice withdrew the charges and approached the FCT High Court Abuja with fresh charges. Cooking gas prices have spiked again in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, unsettling residents as they decry the rising cost of living in Nigeria. The ever-changing prices of goods and services have become emblematic of Nigeria's current economic downturn since the removal of fuel subsidy, with residents call on to the government to mitigate the effects. Beatrice Kurtsi has more.
Is driving gas prices up. In Maiduguri, the availability of the product is marked by a sharp decline in patronage due to price hike. The steady increase in the price of cooking gas has forced many households to search for alternatives. For a 12 kg cylinder, the price is now 14,000 naira and 28,000 naira for 24 kg.
They always change the price. Last month is different, this month is always different. So next month we don't know what we are going to meet again. We just pray that God should be providing for us. Should have enough money to refill our gas, that's all. Yeah. And I'm supposed to buy 6 kg, but due to the changes, I just feel like let me just go for what I have on my pocket. That's why I just buy the 3 kg. So before that one finish, I will maybe understand.
Everything has changed, everything is a bit expensive nowadays. So it's not affordable for us to be buying the gas at that price. It's costing us cheap. I know we have a lot of things to do than to be buying gas at that price. It will be a lot much easier if the price has come down a little.
Da za a gyara mana gas din na dan sauwaye mana shi ya zama ko 200 ko 300 haka. Kada ya wuce 500 dai.
The price should reduce to at least 200 or 300 naira. Let it not be over 500 naira so that a poor man can afford it, because you can even see that the current price there are no customers. Some gas stations attribute the price hike to importation costs and the delay in getting the product.
Dalilin hanya ne ba kyau ta Enugu, saboda in sun je direbobin duk suna shan wahala a hanya.
The roads where we get the products are not good. Drivers suffer a lot bringing it here. They spent 2 weeks on the road instead of 1 week. Nigerians are grappling with rising cost of living as inflation reaches an all-time high with a sharp increase in price of goods and services.
President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja for Berlin, Germany today to attend the G20 Compact with Africa conference on November 20, 2023, hosted by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. This was disclosed in a statement today by Chief Ajuri Ngalale, the Special Advisor to President on Media and Publicity during the conference. Tinubu will join other heads of state and government of G20 Compact with African member countries, bilateral partners, as well as heads of international organizations to deliberate on the immediate enhancement of economic and business cooperation. This is to align concrete measures to boost investment in critical areas such as energy, trade, infrastructure, and new technologies, among others. We will go on a short break. News Sports continues.
Souls came together. Came together. Two souls came together. They're not right now.
Tat Fragrance, the new luxury fragrance for men and women.
Welcome back. A coalition of civil society organizations has advised the federal government and heads of African, Caribbean, and Pacific states against signing the European Union and African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries partnership agreement. The group has urged their respective parliaments and legislatures to avoid ratifying this deceptive treaty. According to the coalition of civil society organizations, if the ACP governments succumb to the European Union intimidation and sign the LGBTQ agreement on November 15th, it will spell doom for the nation. Nasir Zaidu tells us more.
The CSO says Human and Constitutional Rights Committee, African Bar Association, Parents Watch Initiative and Zerified Aid held a crucial meeting between the EU and ACP ministers, which took place in Brussels on November 28, 2022, to potentially exert greater pressure on the officials to persuade their heads of government to sign the contagious LGBT agreement.
The purpose of this protest is that this morning we woke up to hear a very sad and disheartening news that there's going to be a bill signed to support the rights of LGBTQ, and this bill is going to be enforced on each and every one of us without our consent.
I am a girl. God created me to be a girl, not to be a boy. He already knew that I was going to be a girl right from creation. So there's nobody that can come and tell me that I am trapped in the wrong body.
I'm concerned about the future of our children, because I know that any nation that has a moral compass can lead the world. Light always leads darkness. We are not in the colonial era. We are a nation with sovereignty. And we have the right to protect our children from anything that is coming that is not building up for them. It's not adding value for them. It's not adding value to even parents. It's not adding value to the nation. It's war against our family. It's war against the children's destiny. And schools should rise up. Parents should rise up. Well-meaning Nigerians rise up. We have suffered enough.
Others appeal to Nigerian government to reject any move to sign the LGBT into law.
I am an African female. I can't just go and just change myself like that. I was created. God knew me before I was born. I cannot just go and just say I'm a boy. And I'm pleading that the Nigerian government shouldn't sign this contract, because if they sign it, they are going to destroy. In fact, humans may even go on extinct because of this.
The LGBT practices are illegal in Nigeria and in some other African countries. This civil society group is appealing to Nigerian government not to agree to any form of pressure by signing the LGBT into law. Nasser Saidu, Viewer TV News, Jos.
Stakeholders drawn from international development agency, civil society organization, research institution, and government institution have converged to brainstorm on a research project called GAPS, which is a comprehensive transnational and interdisciplinary research project focusing on the drivers of return policy, bilateral cooperations on returns, and the experiences of migrants in the process. The project examines the disconnect between expectations of return policy and the actual outcomes by decentering the dominant one-sided understanding of return policy making. GAPS will scrutinize the shortcomings of the EU's governance of returns internally and externally and examine the complex interactions of policymakers and local actors involved in the return process to shed light on cooperation failures. It will also analyze the perspective of migrants themselves to understand their knowledge of return policy, aspiration, and experience. By taking a close look at governance, cooperation, and actors agency, the project can suggest new avenues for international cooperation, develop recommendations for stakeholders, and explore alternative pathways to returning migrants. The Tariff Mobile Network Operators (MNOs) in Nigeria like Globacom, Nine Mobile, MTN, and Airtel may soon be reviewed upward as telecom operators under the aegis of the Association of Licensed Telecommunication Operators of Nigeria. This week said that the current tariff regime in the sector was no longer sustainable. The chairman of Alton, Mr. Benga Adeboye, dropped this hint in Lagos during a stakeholders meeting with the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), Dr. Aminu Maida, while noting that the price review is in line with the rising operating cost, adding that operators are burdened by 52 taxes across the country, while assuring the NCC EVC of the support of stakeholders in the sector. He said it is important to put a timeline on resolution reached at the meeting. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has declared Zamfara State governorship election inconclusive. The Zamfara State governorship election petition tribunal had on September 18 affirmed the election of Dawda Lawal of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) as the governor of the state, having dismissed the petition of All Progressive Congress (APC) governorship candidate Bello Matawalle, challenging the outcome of the March 18 governorship election for lacking in merit. The chairman of the three-member panel, Justice Cordelia Ogadi, who read the unanimous judgment, held that Matawalle, who is now a Minister of State for Defense, did not prove his allegation of wrongful collation of elections results, exclusion of results for the Maradun local government area, and the election not being conducted in some wards in the state. Justice Ogadi also held that the petitioners failed to prove the claim that INEC did not comply with electoral rules while conducting the election. The tribunal in the judgment awarded 500,000 fine against Matawalle. With focus on preserving watersheds, the Wildlife Conservation Society is empowering local villages by supporting sustainable practice. Young minds are also being nurtured through educational initiative to cultivate a new generation of environmental stewards. This report captures how community engagement emerges as a guiding force that ensures a flourishing future for our planet's vital water sources. Blessing Tuno was in Yankari, and she reports.
Teenagers and pre-teens from communities within Alkaliri local government of Bauchi State are visiting the museum inside Yankari Game Reserve. They are here to learn about the animals that once roamed the reserve, many of which are now extinct. The museum displays cadavers and other preserved parts of animals that were either found deceased or retrieved from poachers. The educational initiative aims to foster biodiversity understanding and create future enthusiasts who will play a crucial role in conservation efforts. The children's interaction with the museum exemplifies the efforts to raise a generation of environmentally conscious individuals who understand the importance of preserving the Earth's biodiversity.
Da ni gaskiya ina ganin kaman hana kashe dabbobi da ake yi kaman ana zaluntar maharba ne ko kuma wani abu, amma yanzu na fahimci cewa hakan din da ake yi daidai ne, sakamakon idan ana zuwa ana sare abincin da suke ci shine suke fadama suke shiga gonakin mutane.
The Wildlife Conservation Society is behind this initiative designed to nurture young minds. They believe that the protection of wildlife and watershed can only be achieved through collective community efforts. The children are aware that they may never have the chance to encounter some of these animals in the forest around them due to their extinction. The older generation that has witnessed the changing landscape of watershed and wildlife endangerment understand the significance of preservation of natural resources.
Akwai dabbobi da yawa kamar irin su giwaye, su baka ne, wambare gwanki, su kanki, mazo, duk ana samun da ajeji. To yanzu ba mu san menene ba, dajin nan sai ya kasance dabbobin sun so su bar ma dajin gaba daya. Ba a iya samun su irin na da.
This is why communities around the game reserve are also being engaged actively to get everyone involved in protecting the biodiverse location. But scarcity of water forces cattle from villages to rely on the same water source with protected animals, thereby increasing the risk of communicable disease and posing a threat to the wildlife.
As an organization and looking at the entire situation within the Yankari Game Reserve and the communities, they force the communities because of lack of livelihood and the lack of water supply and sustainable water supply within those communities. They force them to depend on the game reserve, and that really affected the biodiversity of the game reserve. So WCS as an organization, we try to see how we can be able to manage those situations, sensitize people. That's why we do a lot of conservation education within those communities.
Mapping and providing immunization support for domestic animals is the easiest way to protect the wildlife.
Yana da kyau a tallafa mu ƙauyukan da ke gewaye da ita. To idan ƙauyukan da ke gewaye da ita aka masu tallafi iya gurgudo ta wajen noma, kiwo, aka kiyaye tsarin noman su, da kuma kiwon da suke yi aka ware musu ruwan sha a gefe wanda babu yanda za a yi ka shiga Yankari don saboda neman ruwa ko ciyawa.
The children's curiosity and the older generation's commitment to preservation of watershed and biodiversity provides all the motivation the Wildlife Conservation Society and other donor partners require to uphold the dignity of this historic reserve. Blessing Tuno, Pure TV News.
On the international scenes, Israeli troops carried out building-by-building searches at Gaza's main hospital as a new communication blackout in the territory earlier this week, compounding fears for Palestinian civilians trapped inside the facility. Al-Shifa Hospital has become a focal point for Israeli operations in northern Gaza since soldiers raided the complex on Wednesday. Hunting for a command center, they say militant group Hamas operates there. Hamas and hospital managers denied the charge as there has been international concern about several thousand people, including wounded patients and premature babies believed to be trapped inside. Israel has vowed to eradicate Hamas in response to the group's October 7 attack, which killed 1,200 people, most of them civilians, and saw about 240 taken hostages. According to Israeli officials, Israel's air bombardment and group operation has killed 11,500 people, including thousands of children, according to Hamas-run local authorities in Gaza. A strong magnitude 6.7 earthquake shook the southern Philippines yesterday, the U.S. Geological Survey said, sending people fleeing buildings and causing part of a ceiling inside a shopping mall to collapse. No tsunami threat was issued after the quake struck off Sarangani province on the main southern island of Mindanao at a depth of 78 kilometers at 8:14 GMT, the USGS said in a statement. There were no immediate report of casualties, but the quake was felt across a wide area of the mountainous island in General Santos City, less than 100 kilometers from the epicenter. About 30 students at a high school in the city were treated for breathing difficulties due to panic following the quake, said Adrian Imbong, an emergency medical service worker. Sarangani Municipal Police Officer Captain Valerin said the quake was really strong. Ukraine said today that it had carried out a series of successful attacks on the Russian-occupied eastern bank of the Dnipro River days after Moscow admitted Kiev's forces had gained a foothold there. A sustained Ukrainian breakthrough across the front-line river would mark a significant tactical success for Kiev, whose wider counter-offensive has so far failed to turn the tide of the 21-month war. The statement said more than 1,000 Russian forces were killed during the operations and that over 1,200 pieces of hardware had been destroyed. Russian and Ukrainian forces have been entrenched on opposite sides of the Dnipro since Moscow withdrew from the western part of the Kherson region last November in an embarrassing setback for the Kremlin. Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera has imposed a travel ban on himself and his government to cut public spending and help the country's ailing economy. The move was announced after the International Monetary Fund approved $175 million loan for the Southern African nation. Chakwera also mandated that all cabinet members currently abroad on publicly funded trips promptly return home and ordered a 50% reduction in fuel allowances for senior government officials. Earlier this week, the landlocked country announced a 44% devaluation of its currency as it worked to secure the IMF loan. And that's all on News Plus. Thanks for watching. I am Abdullahi Aliyu. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs.